Good evening, everyone. I am Carla Sanders, the Cosmic Crone, and the founder of the School of Womb Wisdom. And I am delighted to bring you the New Moon Divine Feminine Astrology reading. The new moon is on Saturday morning, December 4th at 2:43 a.m. Eastern Time. The moon and sun are conjunct at 12 degrees 22 minutes Sagittarius, and they are in what amounts to a quintuple conjunction practically with other planets in Sagittarius. All this Sagittarian energy, which is incredibly sacred, profoundly, fierily, it's fiery spiritual energy. Sagittarius is a fire sign, and it has a deeply spiritual and transcendent keynote because of the placement of two objects that are really, really big and outside our solar system. And one of them is called into play in this new moon reading. There are planets gathered around the Great Attractor. The Great Attractor is a point beyond our galaxy. We do not know what it is, though we know where it is, and it is drawing all the galaxies, including the Milky Way, towards it. And it is a complete mystery. And some learning that I've been doing, some spiritual work I've been doing with elementals right now, has me connecting the Great Attractor to the Great Mother. The Great Mother is, I'm just beginning to realize that the Great Mother is so much more mysterious, so much darker, so much vaster than I have ever imagined before. And so I find myself on this inquiry. It's an exploration. Is the Great Mother connected to the Great Attractor? And I'm going to try it on for size and see how it works. So this new moon, which is an eclipse, a total eclipse of the sun, is happening 2 degrees shy of the Great Attractor, and Mercury is 1 degree shy of the Great Attractor, and then Vesta is closing in on them. The sun, over the weekend, the sun was exactly conjunct Vesta. The moon will make a conjunction with Vesta immediately before, just a couple of hours before. And these 5 planets are gathered around the Great Mother, the priestess, the one we know as Grandmother Moon, the one who stands for our intuitive life and for the cycles of the feminine and the cycles of the earth. The sun, which stands for consciousness and identity and knowing who we are and standing in the light and the truth. And Mercury, the communicator, the messenger, the one who makes the connections, who goes back and forth between all of the elements and weaves them together. And they are all opposite Black Moon Lilith. And Black Moon Lilith has been significant. She has been hanging out opposite the Great Attractor for the full moon and again for this new moon. And she is like a more grounded, more embodied octave. We could call it a lower octave. I don't know if it'd be a lower octave or a higher octave, but she gathers all of that mysterious energy of the void and brings it through the portal into the material world. She is the go-between between nothingness and all things that are made. And so she is reaching out into that great attractor, great mother energy and giving birth to it, giving birth to us. And so Black Moon Lilith is an avatar of the dark goddess Lilith. And I read 3 of them when I read astrology charts. So they are in opposition. They are in some ways balancing each other out. And all of that activity in Sagittarius, the priestess, the grandmother moon, the child, the sun, and the messenger, along with the great attractor, it's almost like Black Moon Lilith is holding the kite string, and she is holding all of that energy inside of herself over in Gemini. And these planets are all making what we call a T-square to Psyche in Virgo. And Psyche is the woman who is at the beginning of her initiation journey. She starts out as a hapless maiden for whom nothing can go right. And she goes through various trials and heartaches and disappointments and meets them all and comes out embodied divine feminine. So Psyche is somehow drinking in all of this energy in this square. She's over in Virgo. And she's gathering up this energy to become initiated for her transformation. And this is what this moon cycle is about 100%. Every eclipse is a portal. I usually pull out my shooting the rapids metaphor of point your kayak into the chute and strap on your helmet and just hang on. But these are cosmic rapids. And it is an initiation, so maybe we can visualize Psyche as the one riding in this kayak through the chute of the eclipse. But this eclipse is coinciding with so many other important points right now, important events that are coming. There was the full moon in Scorpio, which was a lunar eclipse about a week ago. And then 2 weeks from now, or 2 weeks from the new moon, will be the full moon, which is happening. It will happen conjunct the galactic center, which is the other really big thing in Sagittarius. The galactic center is the black hole at the center of the Milky Way. And it also represents the divine feminine, yet another octave of the great mother, the goddess, the great goddess. And so the sun will be conjunct the galactic center. The moon will be opposite, and a few hours after the full moon, 2 weeks hence, Venus turns retrograde, conjunct Pluto. And so that energy is already building. Venus is already slowing down, getting ready to station retrograde, and she is already close enough to Pluto to be in conjunction with Pluto. And so there will be much more to say about Venus retrograde in Capricorn that has a great deal of significance. She's considered the grandmother. Venus in Capricorn is the crone or the grandmother. And the aspects that Venus and Pluto are making and how they are merging their energies, I think sets a keynote for all of 2022. 2022, who knows what will happen? Who knew that 2020 would happen? Who knew that 2021 would happen? Who knew? Who knows what 2022 will bring? But just as 2021 was ushered in by the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, Saturn-Jupiter conjunction at 1 degree Aquarius, and at the very moment that the sun entered Capricorn on the winter solstice up here, we've got a similar energy also applying just days before the winter solstice that is a keynote. It's going to set the stage for everything that happens in 2022. So you have Pluto, the god of death and transformation, who pretty much stands at the tower, if you're going to bring in tarot cards and other imagery. He stands there saying, what must die, and what must change will change. And Pluto lives in the underworld, so he is the god of the underworld. Now, what happens when Venus goes retrograde is she is making her Inanna descent. She was identified by the ancient Sumerians as the goddess Inanna, who is descending during retrograde into the world of the dead, the underworld, which is ruled in Sumerian mythology by Inanna's sister Ereshkigal. So if we kind of take that and bring it up into Greek mythology and Roman mythology, then we discover Hades and Pluto are the gods of the underworld. And I should look up Persephone for the full moon and see where she is, because she is the queen of the underworld as the bride of Pluto, and also known as Hades. So this energy of the Queen of Heaven, the bright and shining one, is already merging with Pluto at the time of this new moon eclipse. And that is going to intensify over this moon cycle. So it's starting. There is no separation really between this new moon and this full moon. There is a swing of the energy around the wheel as the moon will move halfway around the chart wheel. And a lot of the energies that are present for this new moon will still be active in one way or another at the full moon and at Venus stationing retrograde. So what are these energies? Right now, we're still working with Pluto-Eris square, but that exact square has already happened for the last time. So things are about to shift. Pluto is going to break out of the Pluto-Eris square and picking up the energy of Venus is incredibly significant, because it's like the transformation energy is taking over from chaos, the goddess of chaos, and coming into the goddess of light, who nonetheless makes her underworld journey and returns. She does return to the light. She returns as the morning star, quite literally this time around. So that energy is still present. Right now we've got the Queen of Heaven and the Goddess of Chaos both interacting with Pluto. And then we have the trine to Algol, the Lilith star, the demonized goddess. She is an avatar of Lilith to the ancient Hebrews. She is the eye of Medusa to the Greeks. She has her counterpart in every mythology, from the Mayan, I would say New World, but that's so Eurocentric, but I can't think of another word for it right now. The Western continents. She has her counterpart among the Mayas and the Aztecs. She has her counterpart among the ancient Egyptians, Sekhmet. She has her many counterparts among Hindu religions, Tibetan Buddhism, and the other schools of Buddhism as the wrathful Dakini, Kali, Durga, so many fierce goddesses that tap into that Algol, demonized goddess energy, and really all of the goddesses of the Fertile Crescent, the ones that patriarchy literally took over from, because it seems to me, I'm not 100% sure if this is an accurate statement, but archaeology suggests that patriarchy and monotheism took root in the Fertile Crescent, and in order to do that, it demonized all of the goddesses, including the Great Mother, including Inanna, including Ishtar, including all of the goddesses that were worshipped in Asia Minor and what we now know as Iran and Iraq and Turkey, also Asia Minor. So these are things that I barely remember from my studying the Bible as a child, you know, how I learned it in Sunday school. So that's one perspective, and it's not the whole story, of course. In fact, it's an incredibly warped story. So Algol, Pluto, and Venus during this stationing retrograde are they are in a flow. She is like beaming energy into those planets and receiving energy back. And when you look at how Vesta is activated by the new moon, Vesta has been interacting with Algol and Venus and Black Moon Lilith throughout this entire year, and 2020 as well. So the priestess is at the altar of the dark goddess. And this has been going on a really long time. And I'm paying special attention to it because these aspects happen to be coinciding with my natal chart and my natal placements of Black Moon Lilith and Vesta. So I encourage you to find out where they are in your chart too. And the easiest way to do that is to book a Divine Feminine Astrology reading. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. The other energies that are active, that they are right on right now for this new moon and the eclipse, we are sweeping up the sun and moon, the great attractor, and Mercury are all flowing energy to Lilith, Hecate, and Chiron in Aries. So Chiron is the mentor and healer. He teaches you how to heal yourself and how to hold space and administer medicines for the healing of others. Lilith is the demonized goddess within, the disowned feminine, the part, that feminine that we have been taught is inferior, unworthy, wrong or bad or evil, simply by nature of being feminine. And so the minute we acknowledge her inside of us, well, she blossoms into power. And that's the work that every woman has to do. That is the work that Psyche is doing over in Virgo as she is drawing on this eclipse for her initiation energy. And then Hecate is most potent in her crone aspect. And she is the crone at the crossroads. She is there saying it's time to make a decision. You must choose. You must choose. If you stay here, you will just rot. You will stagnate. Nothing will happen. You must choose. And it has been my experience that she doesn't point the way. She doesn't help you choose. She simply plants her stake in the ground at the crossroads with her dogs and says, first, make me an offering, and then choose the path. And that requires for us to choose, male or female, man or woman, whatever kind of human being you are. The power of choice is our superpower. The power of applying our intellect to making decisions, to creating things. When we make decisions, we are being creative. We are making choices that change the world. And that is our role in life. That is our role in nature. The problem is when we place ourselves above nature and think that everything is here for us to use and abuse, to use up, in other words. And that is one of the fallouts of patriarchy. Patriarchy said of that extraordinary power of consciousness that human beings have. Well, that is divine, and divine is one, and divine is over everything else. Divine made it all. You can use it all. We put it here for you to use. And you can use it up. You have dominion over it. And the truth of that relationship is actually one of intimacy, of union, of sacred union, of knowing where we fit, because we fit into the workings of nature. Nature requires our consciousness to create on this planet, to understand, to manage, to commune. We are not bad. Our consciousness, I hear human beings described as a virus destroying the world. That is not our divine and natural role. Our divine and natural role is to decide and create, to move and direct energy, guided by nature itself, guided by an intimate relationship with the elementals, with the divine, with the oracles that we have within us and without us. I have an inner oracle, which is my womb. Some people refer to the inner oracle of the heart, and really those two are connected. And then the oracle that is external, although we bring it into ourselves to activate our intuition and our inner knowing. Everything that I say to you here, you receive, and you know yourself through hearing my words. And you create something with it. That is the purpose of an oracle. It's not to take your power away, but to clarify the right use of your power. So this is an external oracle that is also representative of nature and our intimate relationship with nature, the nature that is in the above world, but that only has meaning because it is in relationship to the earth. Astrology is also earth medicine. So let me take a look here and see what else we have. Vesta is in a flow. She is singing in close harmony with Saturn. Now, what does that give us at the moment of this eclipse? It gives us a container in which to work with the energy. Human beings created ritual. And ritual is a form. It is a form for moving energy. It is a form for receiving insight. It is a form for honoring and giving thanks and adoring. In other words, making love to divine and divine's representatives on this earth, which is everything in nature. So the priestess is connecting with Saturn. And I see Saturn as the form giver, the rule maker. So in a most sacred way, it is about ritual. It is also about the temple and about administration. The priestess is also an administrator of the temple, and she administrates the go-between between earth and matter, and the divine. I'm sorry, somebody's pulling into my driveway. I think that's my dinner coming. So sorry for the distraction there. But she also administers the earthly holdings, because in the old days, the queens were also priestesses, and priests were kings, and the temple and the palace were united. We lived in possibly theocracy, spelled Thea, where the goddess ruled. So Vesta, in communion with Saturn, it's called a sextile, is reminding us of that, is reminding us to take care of our material world, to open to receive the gifts and blessings, but also to manage them well and to use those resources for creating the highest good. So that's going on. That is very much a message from the Great Mother and Black Moon Lilith at the time of this eclipse. And Saturn is also connected to Chiron, Lilith asteroid, and Hecate. So all of those are going together. It's like that flow of energy is working with Saturn as a focal point, saying, pay attention to the details. And Saturn being in Aquarius, it's saying, look to the highest good of all the people, the society, the community, the mothers and the children, feeding the people, housing the people, clothing the people, making sure the people have what they need to thrive. So that is a summary of the energy of this new moon. Yes, it's intense. Yes, depending on where it is landing in your chart, you will be feeling that area with a great deal of intensity. And since transformation is happening and those waves of transformation are coming on right now and will continue through 2022, then it is a time to get ready, to listen, to take very good care of yourself, and to take very good care of your vibration and your relationship to divine. That's what this eclipse is opening the door to, and it's extraordinary. What a beautiful time for it. I am thrilled and delighted by the energy that's going on right now. And yes, I'm also being put through the ringer like everybody else. But I am well supported, as are you. So I am going to close here, and I am going to encourage you to get what is a special offer among the Divine Feminine Astrology readings. I am doing a 2022 overview. So we'll look at where this Venus retrograde is landing in your chart, what those energies say to you particularly, and how you can work with them as you create your life during 2022. So we're working with the chart that is coming around in 2022 and how it relates to your natal chart from a divine feminine perspective. So I'll put the link in the comments. And now I say thank you, bless you, and have a beautiful evening.